This flower demonstration is to show a way to make a flower that looks a bit like a tulip. And to get the tulip shape, we started out, and remember we made our little felted circle here. And for the tulips, I cut from this separate petals. So you can see them here, separate petals, and then we needle felt them onto a base. So I'll just show you what I did here on this little piece of paper where I've made a little, I just drew, basically, made a circle of my felted piece, and then I have a petal shape, and then I just go around and I cut those out. So on this particular one I can get 5, and that should make a nice sized tulip. So I just lay it on here, and I use some of the edge. Sometimes I look around the edge to see what might work, and then I just trim around a little bit like so, and go around and cut as many as I can out of this circle of felt. So do you see, like that? And just continue on around here. Now I'm going to put it on pause while you work on your petals, and then when we come back I'll show you how you can attach it to the base and get your tulip going. Alright, I'll be back here in just a few minutes. Okay, I've cut the petals out now, and I've been able to get 5 petals, and some of them I made a little bit bigger, and with the flower they can be a little not exactly like stamped out of a die machine, but that's fine. So we'll start with those, and then this particular flower, like some of my others, are made over a felt ball, and then we needle felt the petals onto the ball, and you can see it in here. This one I will, with this yellow one too, make it the same color, but you could make it a different color if you'd like. So I take about an 8-inch piece of the roving, and I lay it in half on the foam work surface, and then I start rolling it up in a little tube, kind of as tight as I can with my fingers here, and then I punch it with my needle and try to hold it together, and it'll make like a kind of a little tube to start out with, but then you can pull the corners around and just keep working on it until you get your little ball forming. Just keep rolling it up and working it just as like I did with many of the other flowers. In one of the other videos I suggested, thinking about which of these flowers you're going to do, some of them use this little ball in them and others don't. But you could sit in some evening and make all the little felted balls and have those all ready. Sometimes you can get a production line going. You can do maybe all the stems at one evening and do these little balls in another evening. Do your felting of your pieces another evening. And in a week, just a few hours each night, you could have your whole bouquet finished. Or you could spend one day on a weekend and get the whole thing completed at once. So it's a fun project. I could see it be very fun to do with a group of friends over and people working as a group together. So anyway, you can see how I'm getting started here with the little ball. Now I've got one I've completed, so I think I'll go ahead and work with that because it takes a little while to keep on with it. So this is going to be the base we're going to work from, and then we just take the petals and we're going to lay it over the top of the ball here. And you're just going to then punch the lower end of the felt into the ball. And so take your time here and get it all nicely felted and held onto the ball. So just keep working along there. And that's held on pretty good. And Make sure you work all the way around here. Get it on there nice and tight. Now there's our first one. Now the next one, you can overlap it a little bit. Another thing I like to do sometimes, and you can experiment with yours, is make a little cut to make like a little pleat right down here at the bottom, just a little bit like that. And you can just fold it over, and you see how that shapes the petal. So I think what I'll do is maybe cut it just a tiny bit more, so it looks like that's maybe an inch. And I'm going to fold it over, and then I'm going to punch it into itself, and this makes like a little pleat right at this point. And that will help shape the petal and make it like a little more scooped and curved in the center there. All right, then I'm going to lay that and overlap it from the last one. So we're just going to lay it over here like that. And again, needle felt that down onto the ball. Now we're going to continue around with each petal doing the same thing. And overlap one over the other, just the littlest bit. So maybe a ½ inch or so you're going to overlap. So maybe you can see here was our first one here, and then I overlapped this one a little bit, and there's that little pleat. And then we'll go on to the next one, and I'm going to do the same with this. Make a little cut here, overlap it just a little bit. You can see here about how much I'm overlapping, maybe ½ inch or so, and then needle felt that to itself. Okay, here's that little petal, and then again we'll overlap it with that one, and needle felt that down to the ball. So now we're continuing on. We have a few more petals to add to this here. So I'm going to keep working on mine, and you do yours, and when we come back we'll see how they're looking. Okay, we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, now I've finished needle felting around the base of this little tulip, and you can see the size of this one. This one uses 5 petals that we cut from one of our round pre-felted pieces that we had done earlier. And this is the size that this tulip will come out. And you'll see on the bottom, and you need to spend a lot of time like I did, and needle felt all the way around here. Do a lot of work. As you found out by now, the longer you punch, the denser it gets, and that's what you want to do. So you're going to take a lot of time and punch all that really tightly into that little felted ball that you made. And here you have a little tulip cup. Now, if you want a fuller tulip, this one that I was showing you earlier has 8 petals to it. This one has 5, and this one has 8. So if you wanted it to be a little bit bigger, and so you can adjust the size as you want. But they're kind of fun, and for springtime flowers, it'd be a nice addition to a bouquet. Later on, we'll talk about adding the stem to it. And you can see this one, what it looks like, and we'll come back and look at it later. Well, I hope you've had fun working on the tulip, and then we'll come back and we'll do another one of the flowers.